Okay, what is domain?
It's this way. Horizontal.
Now, what is it?
Horizontal.
Okay, it's the inputs. Sorry. Tell me about it. Okay. It will be the horizontal. Guys. Okay. Okay. Okay, you guys. The domain, those are the inputs. That's right. We're going to look horizontally. Some of you want to call them the x values, and then in terms of this graph, I don't have x or y labeled. So they're the horizontal values. Okay, then what's the range? The range is what? Matt, do you remember? It's going to be the vertical. They're the outputs. Joey, do you remember? Put your iPads away, please. All iPads down. We don't need them up. These are the vertical. You guys think of it as the Y's. They don't need to be up. Put them away, please.
Put them away. Put them away.
There we go. Okay. Good. Now, do you remember what a function is? And how to tell if a graph is a function?
Yep.
What's it?
The line.
A vertical line cannot cross the graph in more than one place. Okay, so I'm going to take my vertical line and I'm going to drag it across this graph here. Now this is a graph of discrete data points, or just single little dots. So your answers aren't going to look like they have for some of the other ones. We are going to omit that part. We don't need to know about the continuity unless we're going to take calculus. So, some of you may. If you want to have any kind of profession in medical, that's, you might have to take calculus. Okay, you have to take statistics for sure. Okay. Okay, guys. Joey. Okay, as I drag this over, when it intersects the graph, it only intersects with one dot there. But when I go over to one, I've got two of them. So this is not a function. It's not a function. It's touching, the vertical line is touching the graph in two places vertically. It's easier to see on this figure here. What's this called, by the way? Pentagon. We have one of those in Washington, D.C. Okay. So, if I do this, is this a function? Is it hitting, is the red line hitting the graph in more than one place? Taylor, is it?
Yes. No, it's not a function.
It's not a function. Okay. So and I did the same thing too. It was the probably most effective way to do this was to do all the function questions first. What about this one? Now, you've not seen a graph that looks quite like this before. This is an open circle. Wait a minute, I haven't asked the question yet. It goes right up to that point, but it doesn't ever get there. Okay? This is a closed circle. Do you remember when you did x is less than and x is less than or equal to? It's the same type of thing. Right. And this is not going to include that. But is it a function? Now, Jens, you can answer the question.
No.
Why not?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Question. We're going to come to that one in a moment. Let's do the first one. And this is also different. Now, the domain are all the inputs. That's all the coordinates of the horizontal. So if I were to list these, I could list these ordered pairs. But what's the x value for this dot right here? Looks like it's -3. You can on your paper. And you need to write this down. It's -3. And we just listed them. Where's the next one? This one is at negative. We're doing just the x's. This is at -2. Joey, what's this next one? It's easier for me to correct them both ordered. Need not be in order. What's the x value for both of these points? 1. And then the last one, x is what? No, look at your sheet. It's 4. Now what about the y values? Now those are the y coordinates of all these points. What's the y coordinate for this one? You're listing the domain and range. This is -4. What's this y coordinate here, Joey? That's -2. Or not Joey. What's this y coordinate, Joey? That one. You can look on your sheets, right on your sheet. It's what? Good. And the last one, Jen, what's the last one? 5. Yes, this is what we're working on today. The first side, the first page of the notes, and yes, I'm going to check for everything because I'm going to give you all the answers to the first page. And then what you have to do is get as much done as you can in the class period. So you probably get it all done before you leave. Okay, yes, this is our work. What's the domain on the next one? Now I'm going to take this red line. You could use your iPad as an edge and drag it over here. What's the first x coordinate I run into? 1, 2, 3. Okay, Sarah? Right here, -3. Now, does it get to -3? We weren't doing very well on that pink worksheet. Does it get to -3? Yes, it's included. So how do I write that? I write it with a bracket. And I'm going to pick up all the values, starting at -3, going all the way across and ending with +3. That's what this notation means. You could write it in inequality notation. I just think it's harder. In the inequality notation, the x is less than or equal to 3, greater than or equal to -3. I like the brackets. If it doesn't include the 3's, then we use the parentheses. Jens. If it doesn't include the point, then we use the parentheses. We'll see one like that here. This point is part of the graph. Is this point right here at -4, +3 part of the graph? No. So if the point is part of the graph, then we use the brackets. So to do this one, right here, where does this start? Looks like it starts at -4, but we don't get to -4. We get really close. We don't get this. We use a parentheses for that side. Okay, iPad's down. Okay. And then, where does this go? This goes all the way across. Oh, but what does this arrow mean? It goes forever. So it goes to infinity. We never close infinity. It's always a parentheses. Okay, Joey, put your iPad down. No. Hey guys, I'm trying to teach. I expect you to be respectful. Okay, it won't take that long. We're going to do this page, and then the rest of the time is yours. Correct. Now let's do the range. You might want to do all your domains first, although what happened to me when I did that was that because this is the information for the graph that is below it, and then I read the graph I already did, instead of thinking of it the right way. But anyway. Okay, so let's draw another line here. And now, look at our range. We're going to drag this one. Okay, so I'm going to drag this one up here. What's the smallest y value this comes up to? What kind of 4? -4, that's right. So this is -4. It includes -4, so it's a bracket. So that's important. It is a little tedious, but that's all we're going to do today. But I'm teaching, and I've been interrupted. Okay, slide this up. What's the upper limit here? 3. That's it. Or do I get to include 3? Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to drag this over here. Now, I want the range. I want all the y values that this hits. If you can think of the line hitting the y value there at what, 1? And it goes all the way up to where? It goes to infinity. Even though that's open, that's okay. The arrow here, still hitting the y values. So it's going to start at 1 and go off to infinity. Now, do I get to include 1? Yes. So that infinity is always not included, so it's always a parentheses and it's in the bracket. And I did this, Simon. There may be some things that you find hard. Now, what about a circle? Number 4 is a circle. Oh, I got to write stuff. J, is this a function?
No.
No. Okay, so this is no. And then we drag this here. Okay, guys? I could redo the right act like I did in 32. This is being disrespectful to me or to other people in here. Okay. What's the x coordinate here? Where's it starting? Matt? Not 0. Starting, we're doing the x's first, the domain. So it's -2, and Matt, do you have a question? Going back? Yeah. If it's a bracket or a parentheses, it doesn't include -4 because that's an open circle. If it were filled in, then we would use the bracket. Yeah. So if it's like this, we're going to use this. If it's like that, we're going to use the parentheses. And it's always a parentheses for infinity and negative infinity. Okay, girls? Okay. So where does this end over here? At 2. Well, you know what? I thought you guys had domain and range now, but my last class showed me that you really didn't. But by the end of the hour, I think they had it much better. We will have a test on the parabola unit, which will include domain and range. And you should think about if there's one parabola on here. And that'll be next Friday. Okay, what's the range? Ready? No? Too fast stuff? Because we do get to include these points because they're filled in. If they had been written like this, as open circles here at these corners, these vertices, then we wouldn't have included them. But they are included. Hey, Jay, put that away.
Wait, question.
Yes.
What is it?
I'm coming to that one.
Well,
Okay, what's the range here? What's the range here? Where does it start? Okay, where does it start? 0, and it goes to what? Good. Do I get to include them? Do I use bracket or parentheses? Yes. We have to have it correct. Now, you're set for pre-calc if you get this. It's called interval notation. So that's good. At times, yes. And you're even a calc student, too. Because it includes -2. If it had been an open circle there, then it would have been this. Okay? How about the next one? Is this a function?
yeah.
It only intersects in one place, anywhere on the graph. And this should be quick. This is a line. You can put anything into a line, right? Negative infinity to positive infinity. What about the output, Nick? What about the output here? Girls, what? It goes forever. Yes, but I need everybody. Okay. Now this has a special name, this next function. It's not a parabola. These are straight lines. They come to a V. Anybody know what that's called? It's called absolute value. You're right, that's a vertex. So now you're getting a little preview into geometry. They're all straight lines. There's no curves. Okay. Is this a function? Whoops.
Yeah, it is.
Yes. It's a function. What are the inputs? What's the domain? Negative infinity to infinity. But the range, now the parabolas are like the absolute value function in terms of domain and range. We started where? Negative 5, Sarah? Going up forever. Now we are going to get to the question. Now, is the next one, is number 7, is that a function? No. It's a parabola on its side. Okay. Well, this, now when we come in here, we start at 0, and then we're going to go off to infinity. Now keep in mind that these arrows go forever. And it doesn't take very long, I mean, it takes a long time maybe to get there to infinity, but eventually does. There are different rates at which you can get to infinity. You can get there really quickly, or you can get there slowly. This one's going to be pretty slow getting to it on the Y's. Because I do get to include 0, good question, and I never get to infinity. So yes, you can have a combination of those, yes. No. Joey. Good. Okay. Now, tell me what the range is. It's going to start here with the arrow, and it's going to go up to infinity. So that is negative infinity to infinity. Okay, number 8 looks strange. Now, one thing is about these functions in science class, you see functions, and we like to model real life data with a function. And unfortunately, though, sometimes you can't just use one function. You have to use pieces of functions, which is what this one really looks like. Because first, is that a function? Careful. Is it a function?
No.
Why not?
Because there's
Right here. If one of these had been an open circle, or both had been open circles, I would have been okay. But it's not a function just because of that problem right there. So, Sarah, what are all the x values you can put in here?
wow,
Just the x.
here. Negative.
Remember, this goes forever.
It's like infinity, positive infinity, and you can go up and down.
I have one point up and down.
Oh.
Yes, I do. What's the first place it intersects with this graph now? That's at what? Y equals 1. These are your y values. So that's 1. But they're going to be listed as discrete values, as separate values. And then what does it do? It jumps up to what? 3.
Yes, I do that.
But you might not. You're learning how to say it now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can look at the graph so you can see this, but now you're looking at things a little bit differently. Okay. Nothing. If you wanted to list it with, to be totally proper, you would probably do this with little braces, but those are hard to draw.
Yeah.
So just list the points. If it's just single points, just list the points. So this one's kind of a little bit tricky, and I've done all the problems, and there's maybe a couple hard problems, but they're not too bad. Is this a function?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't care about the sharp corner, it's not important. Okay, now, this one's really weird. Where is this going to go to because of that arrow? This is going to go to negative infinity. And then we get to negative 3, but do I get to include it? Infinity is always a parentheses.
Oh, I got it this way, right?
Domain is horizontal. And we come here, and we come from negative infinity, and what happens at negative 3? The road is out. Does it ever get to negative 3? No. So we have to write this with 2 intervals. That's negative 3. And we will union it. I'm not worried about the U. Actually, I shouldn't have put a U. It's a U without the little A there. That just means, or like the United States. Okay, and then it goes from negative 3 to where? And it stops where? And then negative 3 to 2. Do I get to include the 2? Not filled in. If it were filled in, I would include it. Now, another way to write that would be from negative infinity to 2, but I don't want to see the negative 3 there, so you say x is 9. -3. It's a union. But you don't have to worry about it. Now, will anything be this hard on the test? No, you know that. It does get a little tedious. We can put some music up.
What's the next thing to bring out here? Is it more fun? Or is it more
Oh, I don't know. For apples, I think are fun. What's the range here?
for apples?
-2. Do I get to include -2? Does it actually get to -2? Yes, it does. And it goes up beyond here. It goes forever. So you have to look at all the output. So it goes from, oops, wrong notation. Okay, so it goes from -2 to infinity. If it makes you feel any better, I do this too. Tomorrow, we'll be doing more with the zero product property. So I should have the blue sheet from you, get that from you today. It would be good to get it from you today, because then I can look it over and see if we're having any problems with zero product property. That was yesterday's assignment. Now, you do as much as you can in the time we have left. And a lot of people got it all done in second hour, and we actually had less time. Yeah, the rest is work to be working on in class. And I found it, I answered all the function questions first, and then I did all the domains, and I did all the range. It was easier for me than to switch back and forth, horizontal to vertical. But it's whatever works for you. Good, especially when we get to these bottom ones. And Jane needs to show some work here. You need to show the 3 coming out. I can't even do it in my head. Yeah, something. You got to show me something.